Hi, this is the Titan Strand class breakdown. I already did Warlock. If you'd like to go see it, click up there. But in these breakdowns, I'm going over everything we know about them, all the aspects, abilities, how they're going to work, the synergies, what build potential is going to look like, and generally, is it going to be good? So let's get into it. First up, we've got the Drengr's Lash aspect. What this one does is it sends out a shockwave whenever a Titan casts their class ability. Now, any enemies hit by the shockwave will actually get suspended. Now, by itself, being honest, it's kind of lame, but its potency is really going to depend on the fragments we get. This could very well be the best way to get the benefits from those fragments, but as with most of this, we're just going to have to wait and see. The next aspect we have is called Into the Fray, and it says destroying a tangle gives you and allies around you woven mail, and also while you have woven mail, you get your melee back faster. And quickly, for what woven mail does, it decreases the damage you take. Now, depending on how much the decrease actually is, could make this thing absolutely broken. And also, for what exactly a tangle is, it's this thing that you've probably seen in all the trailers that when you kill an enemy through some specific way, it spawns it. And you can do a number of things to it, like grappling to it, throwing it, or shooting it. And for Into the Fray, it wants you to shoot it, and it gives you and your allies woven mail. That could be really good, especially with how common tangles seem to be. Having damage resist on demand could make you even more invincible than we already are. So that's it for the aspects, but now we've got the melee called Frenzied Blade. And like the Warlock, this melee has 3 charges. As for what its special effect is, it will actually sever enemies that it hits. Now, severing decreases the damage an enemy does. With this melee and the Into the Fray aspect we just talked about, you might just become invincible in PvE with having damage resist and then also having enemies do less damage. That could be a really crazy combination. And also, other than this melee kind of just being cool to watch, it does quite a lot of damage, as you can see right there. Like 40k damage, but we don't know their light level right now, so it might be different when we play with it. Moving on, we've got the Berserker super called BladeFury. Now this one is an interesting one. I'm sure it's what everybody's disappointed by. The green striker. It definitely seems better than striker, but doesn't really stop the boring part of that. Specifically, what it does is it has a light attack, which they say is a supercharged version of the Frenzied Blade melee. With your light attacks, you get faster as you use them. With each light attack, it increases the speed of your next light attack. And what this culminates to is it actually builds up your heavy attack. So once you get your heavy, you can launch the thing that you're seeing on screen, the 2 seeking projectiles that hit enemies, deal damage, and suspends them in air. While it is a roaming super, I expect it to have pretty high damage output, as well as CC with the heavy attack, and if we are to read into the supercharged version of the Frenzied Blade melee, it'll likely also sever enemies, which means if you're against a champion or a boss or whatever, that enemy will be doing less damage to you and your teammates while you get up in his business. And for the final little piece of information for the Titan Berserker kit, we have the Grapple Melee. I didn't go over this with the Warlock, but all classes kind of do the same thing. What a Grapple Melee does is, well, while you're grappling, you can do a melee attack. And it'll unravel an enemy, which as you see, gives it the debuff so that once you deal damage to it, it damages other enemies near it, kind of like Volatile and Void, and pushes them back. So it seems to be pretty high damage, as nothing we've seen so far has survived it, but just, that extra piece of lethality, which will likely tie into fragments. So that's the Titan Berserker kit. Definitely going to depend on what fragments we're going to have, but I genuinely don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be really good. And as Strand grows over the Lightfall year, I think it'll just get better. Of course, I don't think it hits the fantasy that people wanted, where, look at this, that you could have had a minigun, or flamethrower, or whatever that is. But instead, you are meleeing. So, unfortunately, Titans, get used to using your hands, but all things considered, again, just to kind of go in a circle, green striker, but at least it's a really cool green striker. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear the discussion, as I don't main Titan myself. Am I just talking out my ass? Thank you so much for watching. I'm almost at 600 subscribers. The goal is 1,000. I'm very close. Thank you so much for getting me this far. My next upload will definitely be the Hunter Strand breakdown. There's a lot of gameplay to go over that. That looks crazy. Hope you're interested. Hope to see you around.